So we are back to the Spirits book, and we are on chapter 6, Spirit Life, and this class is going to be this study is going to be a theoretical essay of spirit sensation, which is what the spirit feels and how it feels when it's disconnected from the physical body, when it's in an errant state. Where it's in between incarnations. So we discussed a little bit in these questions before, but this is a text by Kardec on the spirit sensation. So we're going to go. It's a long essay, some 6-7 pages. So we're going to stop in the middle so we can cover everything. Okay, Philip. Can you read the first paragraph?
Theoretical essay of spirit sensation. The body is the instrument of pain, and if it is not the first cause, it is at least the immediate cause. The soul perceives pain. It is an effect of the pain from the body. The memory the spirit preserves may be very painful, but it does not have any physical outcome. In effect, the soul cannot be affected by cold or heat and can neither freeze nor burn. Do we not often see that the memory or worry about physical pain can produce the effect of pain in reality, and it may even result in death? For example, recently amputated patients often complain of feeling pain in the missing limb, yet it is obvious that the amputated limb cannot really be the source or starting point of the pain. The brain has retained the impression of the pain experienced previously.
Okay, thanks. So when we talk about pain, we have to first remember that pain, physical pain, happens in the physical body. The spirit receives the perception of the pain, but it actually happens in the physical body. So when we think about the spirits in the spiritual world, they cannot be burned or cannot freeze, because the spirit with the perispirit is not affected by these external factors. But again, when if I injure my hand and I feel pain, the pain is not really in the hand. The hand is the source of the pain that travels to the brain, and the brain transmits to the spirit. So the pain I feel, the spirit, is a reflection of something that is happening in the physical body, but it's the spirit that is feeling the pain. And why we're making this note here? Because when a lot of times when spirits go back to the spiritual world, they carry with them the memory of the pain that they were feeling previous to their death. So if they are going through a painful disease for a long time, and they discarnate, they will continue feeling the effects of the memory of this pain carrying on for some time in the spiritual world, until they are once again in understanding of the spiritual nature. So we see a lot of times in the mediumship meetings, spirits that come complaining about feeling pain, feeling cold, feeling hot, headaches, and we often, we have to direct them to understand that they no longer need to feel the pain. They can overcome the pain because it's all in the mind. Okay, So the brain retains the impression of the pain, but it's not really the real physical pain, because the physical body no longer exists. That's what Kardec is explaining here. And he talks about, which is very interesting, right? People that lose a limb sometimes feel pain in the limb that they lost, because normally it's a result of an accident. And the explanation that Kardec gives is the brain has retained the impression of the pain. We know also, because you can lose a limb in the physical body, but your perispirit does not lose anything. So what you may be feeling the pain, and what you may be feeling that your arm or leg still exists, you may be feeling your spiritual body. That is also a possibility, okay? So that's the idea behind of what we're going to discuss here, okay? Any questions, doubts? No? Okay, so let's continue, Philip.
One can therefore conclude that the suffering felt by spirits after death is of a similar nature. A careful study of the perispirit, which plays an important role in spiritual phenomena, provides valuable insights into the nature and origin of vaporous or tangible apparitions, as well as the state of the spirit at time of death, inclusive of striking accounts presented by the victims of suicide and capital punishment, the sentiments communicated by the spirits of those who have been absorbed in material pleasures, as well as many other sources of information, have shed new light on this question, as is summarized below. The perispirit is the link between the spirit and the material body. It is drawn from the atmosphere, from the universal fluid. It holds both electricity and magnetic fluid, and to an extent, inert matter. One can say that it is the essence of matter. It is the principle of organic life, but not of intellectual life, since the spirit is the source of intellectual life. It is also the agent of all the sensations of the external life. Those sensations are located in the organs of the physical body, which serve as their channels. When the body is destroyed, those sensations become generalized. This explains why a spirit never says that it suffers more in its head than in its feet. We must be careful not to confuse the sensations of the perispirit, which has become independent, with the sensations experienced by the body. The latter can only be understood as a means of comparison with the former, and not as an equivalent. A spirit may suffer when freed from the body, but its suffering is not physical. Yet it is not purely moral suffering either, such as remorse, because the spirit complains of feeling cold or hot, despite suffering no more in the summer than in the winter. We have even seen spirits go through flames without feeling pain, as temperature has no impression on them. The pain that a spirit feels is not physical in the proper sense of that term, but is rather a vague feeling perceived by the spirit, and for which it is not always able to account, because it is not localized and not produced by any external agents. It is a memory rather than a reality, albeit a memory that is as painful as though it were a reality. Nevertheless, spirit suffering is sometimes more than a memory, as we shall see.
Thanks, Philip. So again, expanding here on what Kardec indicated, when we talk about first, we need to understand that the perispirit, our spiritual body, is drawn from matter of the planet. It's associated to, of the world it's associated to. The perispirit is the intermediary between the spirit and the physical body. So everything that the spirit, the physical body feels, goes to the perispirit and then to the spirit. So the spirit is feeling everything that happens in the physical body through the perispirit. When the physical body is disconnected, the memory of the pain and the impressions caused by the pain can still remain in the perispirit for some time, even for sometimes for a long time. But the sensations in the perispirit are generalized. Again, the perispirit has the equivalent of the physical body organs. So this perispirit has the eyes, the ears, the heart, everything equivalent. But the sensations that the perispirit feels are not located in those organs, but are more generalized. Again, it's a concept that still we have some trouble completely understanding, because if you talk to a spirit that has no understanding of life in the spiritual world, or a very basic understanding, of course the spirit will see with the eyes, will hear with the ears, and will feel the heart beating, and will be breathing. And we see a lot of parts of André Luiz books that he talks about sensations and feelings of the spirits around him. But it's important to understand that the sensations are not localized in the perispirit, are generalized. When we are discussing here the physical pains, okay, we are not addressing the moral pains, which in the end are much worse, right? Because of what we carry, our guilty, our imperfections that caused us to make mistakes, that we carry the remorse. These are much more painful memories that we carry with us, that can cause a lot more trouble to the spirit than the pains that are carried on from the physical body to the perispirit, because those, once the spirit is aware and in control of its spiritual nature, that these physical pains that they carry on from the physical body slowly will disappear. So, as Kardec says here, the pain that the spirit feels is not physical in the proper sense, but rather a vague feeling. And it's not localized, and it's not produced by any external agents. Why? We're talking about spirits that are discarnated, because it's a remembrance of the pain in the physical body, but they no longer has a physical body associated. So there is no external factor causing the pain. There is the memory of the existing pain of the physical body that is manifesting of this in the spirit. Of course, it can be as painful as though it were a reality, but it is a memory of something that happened in the physical body, okay? Again, that is not all. We have other sources of pain that we are going to discuss later, but the pain as a consequence of pains existing in the physical body are carried by the spirit and may manifest even when the spirit is full disconnected from the physical body. Okay? Questions here? It's a little bit complex, but you know, we can get the hang of it. No? Okay, so let's go.
Observation has shown us that the perispirit is released gradually from the body at the time of death. In the first few moments following death, a spirit does not clearly understand the situation. It feels alive and therefore does not realize that it died. It sees its body, know it for its own, and does not understand why it is separated from it. This confusion continues as long as there is any connection at all between the body and the perispirit, no matter how slight. For example, a person who had recently committed suicide said to us, "No, I am not dead," and added, "Yet I can feel the worms that are devouring my body." The worms obviously were not devouring the perispirit, much less the spirit itself, but only the body. Still, a moral repercussion transmitted the sensation of what was taking place in the body because the separation between the body and the perispirit was not complete. Repercussion is perhaps not the right word to use in this case, as it may seem to imply an effect too closely linked to the material world. The sight of what was happening to the decaying body, still attached to the perispirit, produced an illusion that it mistook for reality. In this case, it was not a memory because worms had never devoured it during its lifetime. It was the perception of something that was actually taking place.
Okay, so like Paco said in English, please. So when we have the disconnection between the physical body and the spiritual body, the perispirit, the disconnection, the separation can last up to 72 hours, up to, no more, but not necessarily 72 hours. It can be very fast. In the case of someone that is slowly dying of a disease or of old age, the separation, that it's already in process, and at the time of the discarnation, the separation is completed very fast. If it's a young person that dies in an accident that is full of vital energy, then the separation can take up to 72 hours. Again, each case is a case. But once it passes 72 hours, it's separated. It's no longer connected, the perispirit and the physical body. Okay. Now, the fact that the spirit, the physical body and the spiritual body are disconnected does not mean that the spirit that just discarnated accepts it and understands it. So it sees the spiritual body, confuses it with the physical body, and it may even see the physical body sometimes and try to reconnect to the physical body in a way, because it doesn't understand what's happening, and it doesn't understand the process of the separation of the physical and spiritual body. So we see this a lot in when we receive communications from spirits that do not know that they are dead. When we tell them that they changed planes of existence, they left the physical body behind, if they don't understand the concept of the perispirit being the same as the physical body in appearance at the moment of death, they normally tell, "I'm not dead, I'm looking, I can see my body." So it is sometimes difficult for the discarnating spirit to accept and understand what's going on. And those that are too much attached to the physical body for different reasons. These are the cases that when Kardec says here, I can feel the worms that are devouring my body. These are spirits that if the physical body is decaying, there is no longer any attachment with the spiritual body. The separation is complete. When the separation is complete, the physical body starts to decay. So the spirit can still be mentally connected to the physical body and feel mentally what's happening to the physical body, not in reality feeling really what's happening. Kardec uses the word repercussion here, and then says repercussion is perhaps not the right word. But what the spirit is seeing happening with the decaying body, it feels in the perispirit, it feels in their minds, producing what Kardec calls an illusion that it mistakes for reality. And why we're talking about this? This is different from a memory of a pain that the spirit was carrying from the physical body, because the impressions of what's happening now to the physical body is not a memory of what happened. It's what's really actually happening to the physical body, that the spirit, because it's mentally connected, not connected perispirit to physical body, but mentally connected to the physical body for lack of understanding of the separation and of the spiritual reality, may feel what's happening in the physical body. Okay? I hope I was clear here. Luis.
Johnny, do you have a reference for the 72 hours?
Emmanuel. Exactly where? I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, it says in one of his books. I don't know exactly which one. If you Google it, you'll find. And actually, you know, yes, Marisa.
I think about the spirit, what they feel when they are disincarnated or discarnated already. It depends on the level, spiritual of each one.
That's true. I like that.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
so spirits that are less evolved and more material attached materially to the world, they struggle more. A more evolved spirit, as soon it may go into a state of confusion, but it passes quickly, and as the moment it understands that it's back in the spiritual world, these essentials will disappear very fast.
Yes, even they want to, the one that's high level or are normal persons, not behave reasonable here or while incarnated. As about the experience that I hear about them, that they don't, like people that almost die, they experience almost death. When all of them, when it says, I would like to stay there because it's so nice, much better than the earth. I don't feel pain. It's so beautiful. Everything is wonderful. Some people said, I didn't even thought about my kids, my mother, my family. I want to be there because I belong to this, the spiritual world. So, but the other ones that didn't behave well here want to come back because they were in a lower zone over there, and even felt the pains. That is talking about here. The people that don't behave very well. No?
Yeah, it's exactly right. And actually, we are going to see a little bit more of that, or what you said that Kardec is going to mention here. But you were right. Everything depends on your moral and intellectual evolution, right? A combination of both, right? Because if you have moral evolution, but you don't know anything about the spiritual world, you will be helped and assisted by the spirits because you deserve the help and assistance and you are open to it. But it may take a little while, not long, but it may take a little while for you to understand, to get used to the idea that you are in a different plane of existence and how everything works. But because of your moral elevation, you will receive all the assistance and all the direction you needed, and you are not going to feel much the pain and the hurt. But if you are, let's say, intellectually advanced, but morally not, you may end up understanding that you are back in the spiritual world, but you are not going to find yourself in a nice place, and you are going to feel the physical effects of the physical and moral pain that you are going to take with you to the spiritual world. And actually, we saw just last when we studied the book Liberation this month, we saw a group of spirits there that were really struggling and suffering with what they have done in the physical world, and they find themselves in a very difficult places in the spiritual world. So yes, but what Kardec is talking here, is more or less the general public, let's say, right? In a world of trials and expiations, where evil still prevails over good, the majority of spirits are not evolved enough to go through a smooth transition. This is the smooth transition is still the minority. As we move into a world of regeneration, then we'll have more spirits that will go through a smooth transition and less spirits that will go through a difficult transition. But Kardec is talking here about the majority.
Johnny,
Yeah,
go
please.
ahead, Marisa. I'm sorry.
No, go. I'm done.
No, I just wanted to share with you that I did Google it. And the thing is, Emmanuel in the book The Consolator mentions a number of hours, but he doesn't say 72. Chico Xavier in the famous Pinga Fogo show or whatever
TV
program have said that yes, Emmanuel told him that would be at most 72 hours. And later, Brother X in the book, Brother X, is Humberto Campos. Everybody obviously don't know that. In the book, Sculptures of Souls in 87, he stated the number 72. Yes. So now we have references. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Luis. No, helpful. Thank you. Renata.
So can we assume, not saying that because we're spiritists, we're better than anybody, not at all. On the contrary, we have more responsibilities because we know more. But can we assume that we could have an easier transition because we know that there's a spiritual realm and there's reincarnation? And could that be assumed or no?
Yes, definitely. Because knowledge helps, right? Helps tremendously, because when you feel let's say something happens to you, you have an accident, because us spiritists, if we go through a process of a disease and prepare ourselves, then it's, we are preparing ourselves, we understand that. But let's say you are in an accident, something you don't understand, you don't expect. You wake up in the spiritual world all confused because you were not expecting it.
Yes.
But as soon as you start putting your thoughts in order, right? You start reflecting on your knowledge, and your knowledge will help you. Of course, the moral evolution is much more important. But if you combine, a life that we were making an effort to be better than when we started. We are. I don't believe here most of us are going to have, heavy, guilty sentiments going back to the spiritual world. We all have small guilts that for things that we could have done better in our lives, for mistakes we made, but this is part of our evolution. But if you don't have any major traumas carrying back to the spiritual world, and you made an effort to learn and to evolve, then the transition should be easy. And we see that in the book Workers of Life Eternal that we studied from André Luiz, right? The 5 cases of discarnation. The knowledge that 2 of the 5 moved very fast as they once they were back in the spiritual world in their preparation to continue, and the other 3 were a little bit more difficult. So yes, you are absolutely right. The being a spiritist doesn't give us any advantage in terms of moral evolution if we don't make an effort. But in terms of knowledge, understanding the process, it helps a lot. Because
that's great. That's good to know.
Yes, that's why we're here studying.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
It is very important also to add that we are studying and we have to put in practice. Because when you get the knowledge, all this knowledge we get every day in the studying the spiritism, we have to know ourselves and also get all the and also put in practice. So you have, if you feel your problem is pride, you have to work on that. If you have a guilty for something, you have to work on that. So when times comes to this transition, everything's gonna be slowly and smoothly. But I like the way you explained, John, when you say that not everybody is gonna go to that stage. It's a general. Kardec says here is the general people. So it's not everybody goes through this transition with a smoothly path. It's really important to know that it's not everybody's going to see the light. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm going to go to the other side. No, some of us is still attached for something, for some person or material. So that the point we have to study and continue and trying to put in practice the charity and to others and to ourselves as well.
Yeah, thanks, Vera. Nice to have you here. We even being spiritists, right? Let's say we still have our imperfections and we still have our attachments to in the physical world. So let's say you have a loved one that when you go back to the spiritual world, you miss a lot. You're feeling pain of the separation and everything that can prevent you from moving smoothly back to life in the spiritual world, because you are attached to a feeling connecting you to the physical world, right? So that is also something that we have to prepare ourselves. Our loved ones are never lost. The separation is temporary, but we have to be in peace with this separation. It's normal to feel, we're not saying, and this is something that sometimes spiritists have a problem. You lose a loved one and you feel guilty because you're missing them. We cannot feel guilty. It's normal. We have our loved ones, they go back to the spiritual world. We are going to feel the pain. We are going to feel the separation. That's normal. What's not normal is to carry it for years and years and years. Then it becomes an obsession, right? Then it becomes a big problem. But it's healthy to feel the separation. And when we go back to the spiritual world, it's the same thing. You are feeling the separation of you leaving the world behind, you leaving your life behind. So you are going to miss people and maybe things from the physical world. But if this is a healthy sentiment, a nice remembrance, a good recollection of your loved ones or your nice chair in the living room, but it's not, it's not a sickly sentiment, then you move on. You have the support of the spiritual friends, and you move on in a easier way in the spiritual world, right? So again, each one is a case, but yes, thanks, Vera, and that's it. Okay,
You're welcome.
anyone else?
Hey, João.
Carol, yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, as a general guideline regarding, actually, let me think about this. I'll pass. I'll pass
Okay.
to Renato. I had a question.
Okay, all right, Renato.
Hey, John. I just want to make sure, because I got a little bit confused. So when you say the spirit still feels the pain or something that remembers that happened when he was connected to the physical body, right? So it's a memory thing that he remembers, right? You say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said also that sometimes the spirit, when it sees the process of decay, he also feels that. And but on that case, the process of decay, in this particular process, there's no way to experience that, because when that happens, you're already disconnected the physical body. So
Yes.
what you're saying, that when the spirit sees that process, it translates the better way that he knows about pain, about that process, and then feel that, because it cannot feel what exactly is happening because it's already disconnected. So it's like a translation of the feelings. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, you were asking, I was thinking here, how can we give an example of, when you are, if you see something happen to someone, someone gets kicked, and you actually kind of feel the pain of the other person, because you know what that feels like. You have an impression of the pain. You cringe because you feel the other person's pain, not really, but in a sense. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. It's
Yes.
like a translation of the thing. It's not the actual feeling, because there's no way, nobody can experience the feeling of decay because we're already disconnected. So it's a translation for whatever you're seeing.
Yes.
And that continues to happen in the spiritual realm, right? When whatever you see, the spirit translates, and whatever sensation causes to him or her.
Yes, and when let's say the spirits are working here and helping and assisting us, right? A spirit like André Luiz that is learning, right? When he sees something happen to an incarnated person, that experience that he went through himself or someone he loved, or he went through the experience in some sort, André Luiz can feel the pain, a reflection of the pain that the other person, the struggle the other person is going through, because he understands what happened, right? It happened to him or to some. So, but he's not feeling what's happening to the person. It's just exactly the impression. So it's more or less like that. That's what Kardec was trying to explain to us, and that's what the spirit feels the worms eating the physical body, devouring the physical body. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Carol.
Sorry.
Put your thoughts in order.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Regarding cremation, would it be recommended then perhaps to go the breadth of the time frame of 72 hours rather than immediate cremation? Just sort of be on the general compassionate side. Would you say that would be the best?
Yes. It's again, we recommend, the Spiritism recommends to wait 72 hours to make sure that it's all disconnected, right? But it's not that, if you, let's say, we go back to the spiritual world and we are in peace with ourselves, and the disconnection between the physical body or the death of the physical body and the discarnation are two separate things, okay? So you can go back to the spiritual world, discarnate, and the disconnection is still being done, the separation of the physical body and the perispirit, and you are not aware and you are not feeling anything because you are already prepared and being helped and assisted by the spiritual benefactors. So the separation is done by the spiritual team, and you are not part of it. So even if the cremation is done during that period, you are not going to be to feel anything. You're going to be protected. Same thing with organ donation, which is another question that sometimes people ask, oh, what about organ donations? Organ donation is an act of charity. Every time you do an act of charity, you are 100% protected by the spirits. So even if the separation between the physical body and the spiritual body is not complete when they are removing your organs, you are not going to feel anything because you are going to be protected by the spirits for practicing an act of charity, helping others. So it's important to clarify these two situations in terms of the separation between the physical body and the spiritual body. And thank you for your question. It's important for us to reinforce these ideas here, because the 72 hours and the donation of organs always generates questions and doubts. And it's important to understand that we're not going to feel anything unless you are completely attached to the physical body, like the one that feels the worms devouring the body. That spirit, if the body is cremated, will feel the body being cremated because it's so attached to even if it's done after 72 hours, because it's not prepared and it's so attached to the physical body that will feel the body burning without understanding anything.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's continue, Philip.
When we analyze the aforementioned case, we can draw conclusions based on an attentive observation of facts. During life, the body receives external impressions and transmits them to the spirit through the perispirit, which is probably what is called the neural fluid. The body, when dead, no longer feels anything because it no longer has a spirit or perispirit. The perispirit, when detached from the body, still experiences sensation, but it no longer reaches it through a specific channel. Consequently, it is generalized rather than localized. Since the perispirit is only an agent of transmission, because only the spirit possesses consciousness, it may be deduced that if the perispirit could exist without the spirit, the perispirit would feel no more than a dead body. Likewise, if the spirit does not have a perispirit, it feels no pain, as is the case with completely purified spirits. As the spirit progresses, the essence of its perispirit becomes more and more ethereal, demonstrating that the influence of matter diminishes in proportion to the advancement of the spirit. That is to say, as its perispirit becomes less and less coarse. One may contend, however, that if it is through the perispirit that both good and bad sensations are transmitted to the spirit, then the assertion that an unpleasant sensation is inaccessible to a purified spirit must also imply that pleasant sensations are equally inaccessible. This is true with regard to the sensations that proceed solely from the influence of matter that we know and recognize. The sound of our instruments and perfume of flowers make no impression on higher spirits, and yet these same spirits experience vivid sensations of an indescribable charm. it is impossible for us to begin to fathom these sensations because when it comes to spirit sensations, we are like people blind from birth, trying to understand the concept of life, of light. We know that spirit sensations exist, but our knowledge is inadequate to explain their nature and how they are produced. What we do know is that spirits possess perception, sensation, hearing, and sight, and that these faculties are attributes of their whole being and are not limited to the five senses through which human beings experience them. But once again, in what way? However, in terms of trying to understand how these faculties act, we know nothing. The spirits themselves cannot explain it to us because our language cannot express ideas that transcend our comprehension, just as a savage is unable to express our arts, sciences, and philosophical theories.
Okay, sorry for the savages there again. So what the spirits are telling us here is that we are wasting our time. We don't understand anything about the spirit perceptions and sensations. Not really. So first idea here is that for us to understand that perispirit is also matter. So if in theory you can separate the perispirit from the spirit, the spirit wouldn't feel anything because the perispirit it's not transmitting anything to the spirit. So like the body no longer feels anything because it doesn't have a spirit attached to it. If the perispirit were to be detached from the body, it still would not transmit any sensations to the spirit. The perispirit is only an agent of transmission. Okay, so and then as we go evolving, these feelings transmitted by the perispirit, as the perispirit becomes more and more ethereal, the influence of matter and the sensations coming from matter diminishes in proportion to the advancement of the spirit. But then it gets to a point that the spirits cannot explain it to us and we cannot understand, because trying to understand how perfect spirits feel or see or sense things, it's impossible for us at our level of evolution. So what Kardec is telling us here is, no, it's like people blind from birth trying to understand the concept of light. We have no understanding of perfect spirits to be able to explain, and moreover, we don't have words to describe. So the spirits cannot explain to us because our language cannot express ideas that do not exist in our comprehension. So you know, you go to what we call primitive people here and with a cell phone and try to explain them what is a cell phone. They don't even have words in their language to explain how a cell phone works. It's more or less the same thing with perfect spirits and our understanding of how it works, their sentiments, so their feelings and sensations and everything. So that's as good as Kardec could explain it to us, and unfortunately that's where we are here. Okay.
Yes, it's Joao, basically
Yeah.
what they're telling us, that sensations do have an inverse relationship with the evolvement of the spirit, basically inverse.
Yeah, material sensations, right? Physical
The
sensations,
more
yes.
material you are, if you're not evolved, the more you're going to sense it. The more evolved the spirit is, the less you're going to sense it.
Physical, but they have the sublime sensations that we don't understand and cannot explain.
No, but those sublime sensations, we just cannot understand it, period.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
The
that's
sensations, as
that's
we understand, the
that's
more
the
we
phenomenon.
evolve, the less they are going to feel. Yeah.
Exactly. The more evolved, the less you're going to feel the sensation. That's why it's an inverse relationship.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Exactly that. Okay. Okay, Philip, let's continue.
When we say that spirits are immune to any form of impression from physical matter, it must be understood that we are speaking of spirits of a very high order whose etherealized envelope finds no analogy in this world. It is different with spirits whose perispirit is denser, because they perceive our sounds and smells, even though the perception no longer happens through specific sensory organs, as they did during life. We may say that they feel molecular vibrations throughout their entire being, reaching the sensorium commune, although this is in a different manner and can cause a different impression that may change the resulting perception. They hear the sound of our voice, yet they can understand us by thought transmission without speech. This penetration is easier for them as they are more dematerialized. Sight is independent of our light. The ability to see is an essential attribute of the soul, and there is no darkness for spirits of a high order. It is more penetrating and extensive in those whose purification is more advanced. The soul or spirit possesses the faculty of all perceptions, but the physical organs dull this perception down during corporal life. However, in the spirit world, these perceptions become more and more vivid as the semi-material envelope is purified. This envelope is drawn from the atmosphere surrounding the spirit for the time being, and varies according to the nature of the different worlds. When spirits travel from one world to another, they change their envelope the same way we change our clothing when we transition from summer to winter, or travel from the North or South Pole to the equator. When they come to visit us, the most elevated spirits assume a terrestrial perispirit. They maintain this perispirit during their stay, and their perceptions are therefore produced in the same way as lower spirits. All spirits, whether of high or low ranking, only hear and feel what they choose to hear and feel.
Okay, so it's a continuation of what Kardec is talking about, the more evolved spirits and their sensation. So it says that the perception no longer happens through specific sensory organs as they did during the incarnation. It's a general sensation. They use here the sensorium commune, which was something that Descartes used here. It was in Kardec's time, this term was generally applied to the part of the nervous system where impressions become sensations. Prior to that, Descartes famously thought that the soul, the sensorium commune, was located in the pineal gland. So the ability to see, as it says here, is an attribute of the soul. So it doesn't need a spiritual eyes to see. It's an attribute. They can see through darkness. They don't need light to see. There is no darkness for evolved spirits. And the more it evolves, the more penetrating and extensive it becomes. We know that less evolved spirits have the limitations of the ability to see beyond and to feel beyond their own world, their own vibrational level. And the more evolved spirits will have a more ample sense of vision, of sight, of hearing, and everything. And then he talks about when these spirits, for us to remember that the perispirit is drawn from the nature of the different worlds. So when spirits travel from world to another, they change their envelope, meaning if a more evolved spirit is coming, like the book club that Daniela is going to start with Alcione coming from a more evolved world, she's going to use the matter from Earth to form her perispirit, and the perispirit forms a physical body. So it varies according to the planet we are incarnated. So the most elevated spirits assume a terrestrial perispirit when they come to visit us. So when they are incarnated here, or if they need to materialize in the spiritual world in a communication or in a conversation in the spiritual world. Because if they come from a more elevated world, their perispirit needs to adapt to the matter of this physical world. That's the explanation of why you have mediumship in the spiritual world. So if a spirit from a more evolved planet wants to communicate but doesn't want to go to the process of adapting their perispirit to the terrestrial matter to materialize itself in front of a meeting, it can use mediumship to communicate to that group. And then we see that in some books of Divaldo, the book Planetary Transition. There is a communication from Francis of Assisi, right? And he comes and he makes himself present. So if he's likely still connected to Earth, so he's still connected using the perispirit connected to the terrestrial matter. But if he was in a different world, he would have to adapt his perispirit to the matter of this planet. A little bit confusing. I hope I didn't confuse you guys more. Yes, Dani.
So this is only when they need to be seen, or
Yes.
when they just come to visit, they need to be denser, or not necessarily?
Yeah, if they have to have a material presence in meetings on Earth, on spiritual world around Earth, they will have to adapt their perispirit to Earth. Okay, and this is a process. Again, we don't fully understand the process. We know that it's a process that has to take place, and that's why sometimes it's easier for them to use mediumship.
So in that case, they can look the way they are at the moment.
Yes.
But then,
let's say Francis of Assisi, that's going to appear like the example I just gave. He's going to look exactly like he was as Francis of Assisi. That's how we recognize him, right? There's no point in he appearing as a light, point of light or something like that. He has to have a recognizable form, right?
but in that way, the sensations change as well. Like they get more. That's the point I'm trying to understand. They get
that's
more
what
sensitive.
Kardec. Yes, that's what Kardec is telling us here. As they use a perispirit, they have to to adapt their perispirit to a more dense matter on Earth. The perispirit will have the same feelings and sensations of the spirits vibrating at the same level that they are here. Yes.
You mean the spirits, like they are able to feel more like we feel?
Yes.
And hear as we hear, and see as we see.
Yes, but of
Not
course,
like-
because they are evolved spirits, the capacity of absorption of these senses is much more elevated. So you know they are able to, they are going to feel and see the same things as we do, but in a different way because they are more evolved. Don't ask me what way, because that's beyond our comprehension.
But they still keep their sublime
Yes.
way of feeling things or
Exactly.
seeing things or touching.
Yes.
Hey, João.
Okay. Yes, Hannah.
Just a comment for those who want to maybe see a little bit of study and see some good pictures and images from Perispirit. And you know, there's a lecture from a very nice guy on YouTube called John Carngill. The entitles Physiological Constitution of the Perispirit, but it's in Portuguese, unfortunately. But for those who understand or speak Portuguese, you can search on YouTube, and there's a lot of stuff that, you know, he clears out, and with image as well, that makes a little bit easier to understand all these things that we are talking about here. It's on YouTube. So
Yeah, you know, actually, I didn't remember if I had done that in English also, so I looked for it for today, but I didn't find the English version, so I don't think I have done it in English. So, but I'll do it for SGNY. I'll translate and do it because I think it's an interesting subject. Okay, maybe sometime soon. Let's see when we have an opening. Okay, so we have to stop here. We finish next week. We still have some 3-4 pages to go here. We'll do a wrap up next week and finish this study. Okay. So first thing first, we have this this Sunday. We have the first part of a 2-part lecture by Luis on instinct and intelligence. Okay, it's going to be this Sunday at 11 a.m. It's a very interesting lecture, and we will have time for questions, or during or after, however he chooses to work. We'll do here in our Zoom, so it's going to be a study group, but he'll be presenting a lecture on instinct and intelligence, which is, I highly recommend. It's very good. Luis, anything to add on your lecture?
I must say it's looking good. Don't miss it. It's not a lecture. It's going to be a journey that we'll, go through together. So if you miss it, you will feel so bad that you'll not forgive yourself. So come and be with us this Sunday.
It is called intelligence and what? An instinct?
Instinct and intelligence.
Instinct and intelligence.
We'll approach both concepts from spiritist and philosophy and scientific perspectives. We'll talk about a lot of stuff. We'll talk about the brain. We'll talk about learning. And eventually we'll reach the different aspects of intelligence, and we'll learn what Emmanuel thinks about what an intelligent man should be, human should be. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to be recorded and it'll be in YouTube. Okay, that's
yes, but live, it's going to be so much better.
If I can, but if I miss it, I see the YouTube.
Wow,
we're going to.
This is into marketing too.
Definitely, yes. I have to sell the thing.
Very good. Very good.
So on the Saturday lectures of the United States Spiritist Federation, it will be Kirsten de Mello from the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, Daniel Santos' wife. You probably saw her before, and she's going to talk about the attainment of the self. She will discuss from the book The Conscious Being by Joanna de Angelis. She's going to discuss the attainment of the Self. And this is Saturday at 11 a.m. Through the USSF
Attainment of the Self.
YouTube and everything. So book club will start a new club book next week, Renunciation by Emmanuel. It's of the historical collection, the reincarnations of Emmanuel, and it's the one in the 17th century, Danny, 18th, 16th, 17th century, something like that, right? His reincarnation as Father Damiano, and but the story of Alcione that comes from a more evolved world to rescue and assist her loved one that is still struggling on earth here. And it's a beautiful book. For those that know Adilson, it's his favorite spiritist book. He told me once. So it's very interesting. You should, if you can, join her in the book club. Okay. Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Sure. Thank you, John, and everyone.
Thank you.
Infinite Spirit, Supreme Intelligence, we are grateful this evening to be together for our study of the Spirit's book. We're studying chapter 6, Spirit Sensation. We are grateful to be together, and we are thankful for our spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the mentors, the teachers, the helpers, the healers, and the mediums who are with us, having a unified field so that we can grow together, learn together, and evolve. We are grateful for what we have received this evening, many details refined that we can learn from, that we can continuously restudy, continuously put into practice, and share with others as they are receptive to receive. May we continue throughout the week with our prayers, with our studies and our mindfulness, and may we do good works during the week. May we remember that charity is love in action, however we are able to do so. We are grateful for the blessings that we have received and the knowledge that we have learned. We are grateful for the healings also, and that we are able to share with others through the connectivity and through Zoom. May we humbly ask for safety and protection as we go forth to family, friends, and loved ones and coworkers, for we are never alone. We always know that there is a support system, and that as we ask and as we do our part, we are able to receive these blessings. We humbly ask for the love, light, and peace of Christ to be with us during the evenings, during the day, throughout the week. And as we go forth now, and as we close our meeting, we pray for continued upliftment, continued prayerfulness, and continued sharing our blessings with others who are perhaps suffering and needing healing. We ask that we remain beacons of light as we go forth now in peace, so be it.